I'll feed anybody, but I'm not for everybody. My name is Chef Derrick Green, and I find people that have turned their life's experiences into ingredients they use to feed others. We're redefining soul food. These people have turned their adversities into their advantages. This is the Sauce of Life show, and let's go. Miss Bridgette Johnson, welcome to the Sauce of Life.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, the Sauce of Life is about people that have taken their life's experiences and turned those into ingredients that they now use to feed others. It is truly about trying to figure out how you got to where you are from where you came from. With that being said, Bridgette, please introduce yourself to the world.
My name is Bridgette Johnson. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, home of the Kentucky Derby, and I am a former preschool teacher of 23 years in the Jefferson County Public School System.
Wow, why you say with some attitude there? Louisville, Kentucky.
I want everybody. I want everybody to desire to come here for the Kentucky Derby.
Okay, beautiful. Now, I met you in Washington, D.C. at an event. And one of the things that I became very fascinated with was you had these books. Let me get them in front of the camera, right? Superpreneurs. I've since purchased 2 of them and brought them home for my kids to read. One of them focuses on financial literacy. And I know you have a lot more than this one.
Yes.
But this one I'm very happy with because it goes over specifically the example of the lemonade stand.
Yes.
And that's something that I've had my kids in the past operate a lemonade stand. Another thing that you have is this one, which talks about the SMART goals. And it's like a journal for them to track their progress with things. I'm curious. You said 23 years as a school teacher and you're a multi-author. You can find it you on Amazon. What inspired you on this journey that you're on now?
Well, I was a stay-at-home mom and I had 5 children, and I wanted to go back into the workforce because I am a former hairdresser, and I was trying to figure out what to do. I just wanted to go back to work because my kids were getting older. And so my sister-in-law, which was working for the school system, she suggested, why don't you go back and be a substitute? So I thought about it, and she said, well, you would get out of school at the same time as your children, and you wouldn't have to worry about babysitter and all that stuff. So that was my biggest concern. And so since they were getting older, I took her up on that. I went and I applied to become a substitute teacher. And from there, I loved it. I just absolutely fell in love with it. And I would jingle off of songs and I would do different things because the behaviors were not too conducive to what the teachers were expecting out of the children. A lot of challenging behaviors, and a lot of the teachers were getting burnt out. And it just was a place where the teacher was doing more lecturing than the children actually being interactive. So I would come up with things to do, but I couldn't do anything about some of the things that I wanted to change because I didn't have a degree at the time. And so I was just an assistant. And so at one school I substituted at for 8 years, and I became a preferred sub there. Well, before the principal retired, she brought me in her office and she said, why don't you go back to school? I said, who, me? She said, yes, you, at the age of 45. And I thought about math and this and that. And anyway, I took her advice, and I started my career, early childhood career, going to Jefferson Community College in Louisville, Kentucky, to get my associate's degree in early childhood. And after that, I went and got my bachelor's degree at Campbell University in Campbellsville, Kentucky. And then during COVID, I worked on a couple of classes of my master's degree. And so that's how I got started. But while I was substituting, I would jingle off of songs, and I would get songs off the internet. I would rhyme words and different things like that. The teachers began to like it, and the kids loved it. And so they said, well, when are you going to go in the studio and record it? So what I did, I had a keyboard that lighted up, and I would take it around to every classroom. And I would act like I was playing, but it would light up, but it wasn't actually me, doing it. It was just the keyboard actually playing by itself. And so the kids liked it, and I would jingle off of songs and make raps and rhymes, and they absolutely loved it. And so from there, I went in the studio and I recorded 5 songs, and I have a book to go with each one of them. And so that's how I got started, really being a children's author. Really, they turned out to be song books, actually kind of rapping, rhyming. And so then I got deemed the name DJ BJ, the rapping school teacher. And that's how I got started.
All right. Have you always been like this artistically gifted person? Like, or when did that start?
I always liked the arts. I always liked drawing. I always like I always was interested in anything that had to do with singing and dancing, and anything that had to do with drawing or graphics. I always liked that. I've always looked into it. I've always tried to be in drawing contest or dance contest, or I taught myself how to tap dance, and I couldn't afford to go to the classes, but I would go to a friend that was taking classes, and so I would mimic everything that they was doing, and I would come home and actually do it. So I always liked the arts, always.
And did the idea just come to you one day to infuse your love of the arts with the education element of it?
Yes, because I I believe it's the term now called edutainment. And what I did, after I got my degrees, I actually got my own classroom eventually. So I would use the techniques in my classroom. I would mix entertainment and education together. And so I ended up having a 98.7 success rate and getting kids ready for kindergarten, because I really didn't follow a set curriculum. I kind of mixed the curriculum up with rhymes and music and movement and different things like that. So that's really how I got started, because I started getting success with the children getting ready for kindergarten.
Great job, by the way, 98.7%.
Hmm.
Talk about the temperature of a room. Good job. Good job. So you said you have 5 kids and you were a single mom.
No, no, I am married, but I didn't include my husband in it, because when I tell the story about my sister-in-law, I was actually telling how I was saying that I wasn't really tired of being a stay-at-home mom, but I knew that it was more for me to do. Yes, I am married, 42 years. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. But sometimes I kind of celebrate my sister-in-law for leading me into the educational field. I leave that part out. So yes, I have 4 boys and 1 girl.
You know what? It's my fault because you did not say single mother. You said stay at home mother, which is a very different statement. And let me take that back. My apologies. Put your listening ears on, Derek. Um, what was the catalyst for deciding to, let me put it this way. Not a lot of people that I know of, especially in the Black community, talk about teaching their kids about financial literacy and then take the time to break it down into such simple stories like what you have here, the terms that you go into so that they can actually understand what financial literacy is. So, did you find that hard for your kids? Was there something that happened within your family that inspired that?
Well, for one, I never was taught financial literacy, but I was a part of a group at my church called Master Builders Academy. And so we talked about self development, uh, financial literacy, real estate, and all that. And so during COVID, we were all closed in. I think it was before COVID. I did a photo shoot with my grandchildren, and they had on superhero outfits. And I was like, y'all gonna be the superpreneurs. Y'all gonna be entrepreneurs who save and invest. So then I got the idea for the book. And then I went during COVID, I bought a lemonade stand at a yard sale. And then so I told them they were going to sell lemonade. And then after that, we actually made the lemonade, and we sold almost 100 bottles after we had brought it out. I guess we had been locked in from COVID. So everybody was coming past blowing and, excited about the lemonade stand. So from there, it kind of really grew into making it a financial literacy program for preschool to 3rd grade.
Uh, you actually have many markers of success that you've mentioned there, because you are someone that, I believe you said 42 years that you've been married. You are somebody that saw a need in the community and you addressed it. You are a person who seemingly successfully raises and impacts other kids as well with what you do. How do you define success?
I define success as helping people get to where they need to be. I like helping other people. I like telling them about, resources that they can get to go to the next level. So me seeing other people accomplish things, like after a 93-year-old write a book called It's Never Too Late to Follow Your Dreams. So helping her and, seeing her leave a legacy for her children and grandchildren. To me, I define that as success, really helping other people get to where they need to be, and especially children, bringing out the talents and abilities in them, especially when people want to give up on them and say, I don't want them in my classroom. I really inherited all the behavior children because of the type of classroom that I had. So
That's actually, for me, would be challenging, the at-risk youth. So I grew up in a place called Fort Pierce, Florida, and I was one of those at-risk youth. I was incredibly smart, but because of being bullied as a kid, I didn't want to show how smart I was. And then growing up in the quote unquote ghetto presented all of its own challenges, um, related to self worth and all of the different childhood traumas that I was going through. When you're addressing these at risk youth, what's your method that is different that you're able to achieve a 98.7% success rate? Like, what's your method?
I believe it's the edutainment. And I always try to find something that they like. And I relate it to, something that they like. Like if they like a certain superhero, or if they like, SpongeBob or whatever, I'll try to, or Ninja Turtles. One little boy couldn't hardly sit still, a little ADHD, but there was an issue for him. So what I did, I bought a big bag of rice and I put some material together that had Ninja Turtles on it. And so I told him that was going to be his peer buddy. And so he had to walk around with it, but, it's kind of heavy. So, and then at circle time, he'd have to put it in his lap. So like finding something in them that, one little boy liked the microphone. So I had to let him, be the leader. And, he would have to write down and tell me who I was not following the rules. So like finding out something that they like and relating it to something that you're teaching in the classroom. And also having the things in there that they like. Like I had robots, I had like a marble tree and different things like that. Things that, not just basically getting things off the shelf and, doing the basic routine, getting blocks. I had extra things in there that I could, like show them, first we can do this. And then if you do that, then we can do this. And I always had things where they could build and create and kind of like invent some of their own products. I always like doing things like that. And like one time I had a machine factory. I called it Machine Factory Day. And so I gave them a bunch of things that they could build with. Some of them said, I said, what you make? A can opener. And it actually like a can opener. Some of them I asked, what'd you make? They would say, a police car. And it would look just like that. So like bringing out the things that's already in them, bringing out their talents is what I really like to do. Even though I seen the exhibiting behaviors that they had. But I still try to find something that I could bring out that they were good at.
So you're one of the angels.
Touched by more than one angel.
You know what? Though I said that jokingly, it's truly not a joke, because it takes a special kind of person to realize the gifts and potential in these young kids, especially speaking from my perspective, where I've been told so many times that I was just going to end up like my daddy, end up dead or in jail, good for nothing, all these type things that you grow up with. And then also the life skills that you're imparting in them and releasing their creativity. Like that has to be such a fulfilling feeling to keep giving back like that.
Yes. And just really giving them, hope, because if they don't get it early, then the statistics show that, if they don't even read by third grade, that, they said we might as well build a prison cell. So just planting seeds of greatness in them early, before they get to kindergarten, because if they don't, get in the right, if they don't, they'll continue going in that same, avenue of behavior, and BD, and uh, classrooms where they have to be isolated from other children. And I've seen a lot of that too in early childhood. And so all it does is make them meaner and meaner. And then, before you know it, they haven't learned nothing that day. And so really just finding a way to do it to where you can actually keep them learning, even though they're exhibiting those behaviors. I think it just takes practice. Something you have to do over and over and over. And really, you do have to have the ability to want to do it, because if you go back the next day, you love it, but some people cannot tolerate, challenging behaviors. And I think it's just a gift that people have. But if we don't, we know what's going to happen by third grade if they don't. I'm not saying that's actually going to happen to build a prison, but we know they started the behavior issues and gangs and different things like that. So I think early childhood is the best place. That's why I wanted to start financial literacy early, because then they learn money principles that won't get them into high student loan debt and other things that they can actually work and pay for their classes one at a time.
Wow. Do you feel that it's and don't let me put words in your mouth at all. I'm asking a question. If you feel that it's a system, is it designed like that so that our kids don't read, or that it feeds the incarceration loop? Is it something else? Like, how do you have so many kids that can't read by third grade?
I think as we keep repeating the same thing over and we keep getting the same results. I don't think we're really willing to take risk and do something different, other than go by curriculum. And so what I've been seeing, even going back to substitute, is we are still getting the same results, because it's still, we got to start at 9:00. We have to do circle time. We have to put it up, and then come on, we're going to do this and we're going to do that next, instead of it being free choice. And also, like I said, giving them more opportunities to explore and create their own environment. So like, if I already got a set way that they're going to do it, then, and then when it's time for them to put up something, then you mainly see the behaviors start to come alive. Like, when it's time to stop building, they don't really understand that. But because we have to go by a strict schedule, then, then that starts the, back and forth battle of putting the things up, when we can leave it out all day. Because you can still teach and still let them have free choices, to be able to have more opportunities to, learn with hands-on projects and, building inventions and just different things like that. But because we have a set curriculum, if Scholastic said it's time to read a book, what I've been seeing is that we'll read the book. The book is like 15 minutes long. Then you see kids, they give them fidgets now to make them be still. Then they start throwing the fidgets, and then they start fighting. And then, it's a tug of war after that. So it's like we keep doing the same thing, getting the same results, trying to follow a set curriculum. I think that's where we're going wrong.
So how do we change it? How do I help you change it?
Really, we have to go to the stakeholders, which is the administration and the principals and the district, but like I said, they feel like if they don't have a curriculum, then they're not teaching. But actually, a lot of it, they're not getting anything done anyway with the kind of curriculum that we have, because it's a set, like I say, you have to read the book a certain amount of minutes. And then it's like they sit so long that, I've watched it over and over since I've been back substituting, that it turns into a disaster after a certain amount of time, because the kids are tired, they're bored, and then you're still trying to sit there and make them listen to you, so really just, I think if the community and the stakeholders and everybody could come in the classroom and actually see what goes on every day, then they would change a lot of it. But a lot of it they do not see. And I think that's the reason why they don't see what really is going on.
I'm not that familiar with Louisville statistics, but I began studying Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and it's America's fastest shrinking city. And one of the statistics that popped out to me there, which I didn't even correlate to what you're talking about now until this moment, but it said that 85% of the kids, of the third graders, can't read at a third grade level. Now, you said that could mean that we should be building jail cells for those kids. But that also doesn't that also mean that we still have some years to do the right work to help them? Like, what is it that a parent, just a normal everyday person, can do, even in the face of school boards or policymakers that refuse to implement change at that level? What are things that parents can do?
I think when they see a certain talent in their child, like my granddaughter can draw, and like we get her to draw all the time, and she likes math, like seeing what you can see that they're good at and kind of like building on that, or if they like playing an instrument or whatever, building on that, and getting them in just, you know, programs outside of the classroom, you know, different things that they can get in, or if they like dance, whatever, kind of lean toward that and build on it, you know, keep going with it until, you know, you bring that talent out. Everybody might not go to college, you know, so maybe they might be, you know, a artist, a graphic artist or illustrator, you know, so like building on that talent and, you know, keep nurturing and building it until it, you know, blossoms into maybe a business, or maybe they will teach in that particular field. So um, I don't think our hope is lost. I just think that too, if we just keep doing the same thing, that we are going to keep getting the same results. I don't know if that research has actually, if it was proven that they had, you know, but I think they're saying that if they don't start reading by that age or by that grade level, that because we know what happens after that, that they start getting into certain other things that, you know, that leads to crime and shooting and fighting and different things like that, that they're saying that we might as well build a prison cell. But I think there are programs. I'm opening Wow Factor Academy Inc., in which I'm going to base it on invention, education, engineering, the performing arts, edutainment, which is what I do, uh, and financial literacy, and a manners program. So I'm trying to do something different and still get academic results along with it. But I think if we just keep going and doing the same set thing every year, we're going to keep getting the same results. And like I said, I'm watching it firsthand when I go back and substitute. So I actually see it happening, and they're still trying to figure out what to do about the problem. But until we sit down and, you know, say we need to change directions, or maybe I'll be a model school for, you know, some of the district, hopefully, you know. So I'm looking for donations. I'm looking for sponsorships. I'm looking for partnerships to get this started, because I do have a 98.7 success rate. And I do believe that if we change some things, that we you know, start to do some new things, I think we'll see some new results.
Okay. Is that going to be like a Montessori school? Is that going to be like a charter? What?
No, it's going to be a preschool, but it's going to be a non-traditional preschool.
Okay. What have been your challenges to making this dream happen?
Finding a location.
There in Louisville?
Yes, finding a location has been the biggest obstacle that I've encountered so far. Is just finding a location, and because I would like to design it, you know, for when the kids come in. I want them to be engaged, even with the environment. I want it to look a certain way. So I have offers for some locations that are already in place, and so just still looking. But location has been my biggest obstacle.
Okay. Just a question for you. Who invested in you when you were a little girl?
I think I used to go to Catholic schools, and so a lot of my friends, they took like extracurricular classes, like taking dance and theater and different things like that. I would go with them, and so like I've always wanted to, like I would watch movies with singing and dancing. So I always liked the arts. So I always kind of follow people that were into the arts. If it was poetry, if it was singing, dancing, anything like that, I was there, or tried to be there anyway. Or I would go to classes with my friends, and then I taught myself how to tap dance. Um, I taught myself how to do modern dance. And when I was in the 7th grade at a Catholic school I used to go to called Christ the King, they let me and another group of girls, they let us choreograph they wanted to do some type of music festival, dance festival. They let us choreograph the whole thing for the whole school. So that was interesting. We had folk dancing, we had tap dancing, we had African dance, all type of dances. So just being around those type of people kind of led me into what I do now.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. This is a gear shift, but I'm so curious. 42 years. How? Like, what is your secret for 42 years?
Putting Jesus Christ first in my life. I think having faith in Jesus Christ and my belief in God has kept my marriage together 42 years.
Okay.
I feel like without him, I can do nothing. And without him, we both can do nothing. So.
Faith.
Yes.
There's got to be some patience and everything else that goes in there too, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
A little bit more than faith,
oh,
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it takes the word of God. You have to stand on the word of God. I mean, through tests and trials and ups and downs and disappointments and hurts, you have to stand on the word. So, yes.
Okay. And those 5 kids that you mentioned earlier, how are they doing in life?
They're doing great. They're doing great. My daughter has her own business and she's doing great. She's good at crafts. She's just all around. She can do anything really. Not anything, but I mean, she's good with craft. She's good with business sense. She's good in helping young children. I think she could really fit into any field. And one of my sons is a personal trainer, massage therapist, real estate agent. Another one of my sons works at GE, and the other one works at Modine. And my oldest son, he's married, and so I feel like God has truly blessed my children, and they all, I think, have different talents. I think 2 of them have the most talents, but
that speaks volumes about you and your husband, and the work that y'all put in as well.
Thank you.
When it comes to superpreneurs, or the academy that you mentioned, is it important for you to keep that in Louisville? Like, are you trying to change the community in Louisville, or are you trying to just get the dream to come to life? Which one?
I'm really just basically starting in Louisville, but I would like for it to be a model. Eventually, I'm going to license my financial literacy program out to others, preschools, and my manners program. I'm going to license those programs out to other schools.
So this is a program? This is a part of a
Yes.
program?
Yes, it's an 8-week program. Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay.
Yes. It has curriculum to go with it.
And what does the kids learn at the 8 weeks or after the 8 weeks?
Well, we basically start out with lesson 1 talking about what is money. And then the second lesson, we talk about how to use money. And in those lessons, we'll talk about the quarter, the dime, the nickel, the dollar, and then we'll find out how they came into existence and why the presidents are on the money. And we talk about that. Then we talk about how to use money. And then we graduate up throughout the weeks. We graduate up to actually introducing the book. And we start talking about entrepreneurship. And then we introduce a business plan, which is simple. They have 3 ideals. They have to go home and tell their parents to help them partnership on the 3 ideals, on one ideal that they come back with. And then from there, we begin to work on it. We use, we'll set up a store. We'll talk about the exchange of money. We have a fake credit card, checkbooks. We begin to talk about money and, how to use money, how to make money, the business plan, who we're going to need to help us, to make their business a success. And then we have a week of affirmations where we talk about I am powerful, I am strong, I am a wealth magnet, and different things like that. So each week it builds up until we get to the end where they actually have a pop-up business, and then the community comes out and support them. And the last program that I did with this, I tested the program with some kids in a program called New Directions. And they have a program for the adults called I Rise. And I Rise is a program where they help people that live in low income housing to eventually get a house. And so I met the fundraiser for that program at the Rotary Club. My grandkids performed there, rapping about financial literacy and talking about their business. And so he asked me to come and do the program with the children of the parents in the I Rise program. So we did that for 8 weeks. And the kids ended up, we had several businesses that came out of that. We had Lip Gloss Goddess, and I think she sold about $200 worth of products. We had Twin Sweets, which was a brother and sister. They made cookies and cupcakes, and then they argued the whole time because he said he wanted to sell potato chips next time. And we had Nari's Lemonade. We had Jello's Jigglers. I mean, it just really turned out nice. And so the community of New Directions, all their employees, they came out, supported the children, and the children left with the knowledge of knowing what capital was. They left with the knowledge of knowing what assets was. They learned about net profit, gross profit, all the terms in the book. The kids could tell you what they meant at the end of the program, and they all graduated with their own business. So
It's beautiful what you're doing because you're showing the kids an alternative to what other people will introduce them to, what the gangs will introduce them to, or people that don't have their best interest at heart will introduce them to. So I applaud you for that. I would have loved to talk to the young man about the potato chips, the cookies, and the cupcakes, because so I'm a food brand myself. I have a food brand called Waffles and Whatnot that I started, and I would have told him that he's on the right track, thinking of making a potato chip, something that has a longer shelf life, more stable, and pushing that out versus the cupcakes. Like,
yeah, it
sounds,
was so
it's
comical. They were comical. And then he kept the money they made, he kept going sneaking over buying lemonade. And she said, "We're not gonna have no money left." Oh, they were comical. But I mean, it was just something to see really the growth that they had over the weeks. And we made our own banks. We were supposed to get a donation that didn't come through. So we had mason jars, we painted them pink, and we put the eyes and everything on them, made a little piggy tail, and my husband cut the hole in the top for the mason jars, and they were able to put money in there because they had chores they had to go home and do. In one of the lessons, they had to go home and find out ways that they could make money. So they were actually putting money in the piggy bank. So it was really, and then we played pin the tail on the piggy bank. I mean, we had fun. We had fun. We had cash registers. We played store. We had fun, and they knew, what the end result was. They ended up with their business, and they, knew how to get started in entrepreneurship. So that was the most important thing.
That's beautiful. If I could just add one nugget to your book, or one desire into your book, it would be the addition of passive or residual income. Because, like, for my kids, I try and teach them when they lose a tooth or something like this, they get money. They both have their little purses, and they're kids, so they want to go run and spend it as quick as they can. But I'll do stuff, and have been now for at least 2 years now, of saying, why don't you let me hold your money, and I'll pay you $1 a month if I hold on to your money. And so seeing that, and having them come back and be like, hey, I increased this, so now, just anyway, I do
Yeah.
things like I play. When I first saw you, I saw a box that looked like a board game, and that's what
Mhm.
got me so excited, because
Mhm.
with my older kids, I've had them read things like Rich Dad Poor Dad for teens. I've had my oldest daughter to read things like Kingonomics, and I've literally sat with her and we've watched Dr. Claude Anderson talk about various things as it comes to group economics. And we play Cash Flow 101 together as a family from Rich
Oh,
Dad Poor Dad.
wow.
But I think that Cash Flow 101, I'm thinking of my youngest son, he's 7, and sometimes he struggles with understanding some of the concepts. And I like the way that you break things down to that level. So um, I'm very interested in you creating a board game. like this is what I'm getting at.
Mm.
So anyway,
And my grandkids, they have a bank. They have a they opened up a bank account at Park Credit Union in the Parky bank account, and so they went in and they put their money in, and they sat at the desk and everything. I have pictures of it, and they got their little book and deposit book, and they got some piggy banks, and so that was their first experience in putting money into a bank. And so right now we're learning, and I'm teaching them how to start investing in certain companies. So
that's beautiful. Listen, what you're doing is so important. It truly is. I have just last week set up life insurance policies for my kiddos to show them how that starts working with the life insurance policies, and then walking them through using some advice that I received from Damon John from Shark Tank and Dan Fleischman, walking into bathrooms and saying, hey, look at what companies are manufacturing these products that you guys are using all the time. You like that toothpaste? Well, it's manufactured by this company. You like this thing? It's manufactured by that company. And let's see if that company has stock that you can buy into. And doing that, like my son and my daughter now have some shares of Roblox, this video game that they play.
yeah, I forgot about Roblox. Yes, it is a good investment, because I think
Yeah.
every child is on that one.
So just incorporating those things into the lessons that you're teaching is important, because somebody else is going to show them how to measure weed. Somebody else is going to show them how to measure different types of drugs, or how to stick people up, or do different things that you're showing a different level of hustling and a different way to counter some of the other influences of their life. So I applaud you for that, truly. What do you hope to accomplish with everything? Like if you could wave a wand and see the impact that you've had on the world, what would that look like?
Mm. Uh, seeing young children, my own children, being successful.
Okay, beautiful. Um, when I met you in DC, it seemed like, well, I know you were on the fundraising path there. Do you know what it takes to bring your dream to life? Like, how much are you trying to raise to build a school?
I'm trying to raise 100,000. I know it's going to take more than that, because I'm gonna need salaries for my staff. But to create the STEM rooms and the buy the furniture and different things that I'm going to need, I know it's at least 100,000.
Okay. And there hasn't been anybody in that area that's able to, I don't know, that you can leverage different things
We're working
on?
on it.
Okay. How can I help with that?
Well, if you know any sponsors or investors that want to, invest in children, that would be helpful, very helpful, because it would be going to good use. And, like I said, I don't know if I told you this, only 44% of our children in Louisville, Kentucky, according to the latest data that I saw, are ready for kindergarten, only 44%. So that's not even half of the children. So we have a lot of work to do. And I think during COVID too, we lost a lot of learning because of the way they had the classroom set up. So we got a lot of catching up to do. When kids are 5 and 6 and they can't hardly recognize the alphabet, they're behind. So
Yeah, COVID was a beast. And there are so many families that are still impacted by it. I'm listening to it, listening at my kids go to school, and listening to uh, the other kids around them whose parents may not have been as involved in their education, because they're probably trying to make ends meet themselves. Who knows? So I don't know. Bridgette, I want to wrap up with two questions for you. One, where can people find you to be able to support your dream or to be able to reach out to you and connect with you?
They can find me at wowfactoracademy.org and www.creativelyyinvented.com. They can find me there. And all of my products are on Amazon.com and even on my website. They can purchase products on there. But I think we're going to put a button. Now I have a Facebook page too, Wow Factor Academy Inc. We're going to put a button on there where people, if they want to give monthly donations, they can, instead of waiting for like a particular fundraising campaign, like Giving Tuesday and things like that. We're going to have a button on there where they can give monthly. But my my Facebook page is Wow Factor Academy Inc.
Okay. And then the final question that I have for you, if this were the only time that you and I spoke, or the last time that you and I spoke, and the only time that someone from my audience got to hear you speak, what would you want us to walk away with?
Walk away with, finding some program or some social cause that you can invest into, because it's about, I want to be successful too, but I can't be successful by myself. So helping other people come up, to our young children, and especially those, like I said, the parents work and they don't get the academic or even anything that they need to be successful. They come, to school dirty, hungry. I would say to invest in the children in our community, in programs that, are bringing social change and are bringing things that's going to help our children be ready for the 21st century. Because right now, we don't change some of the things we're doing, they're not going to be ready for the type of jobs and things that are coming. So I say find a social cause to invest in, to help out, volunteer, and even, going to schools and volunteer because they need help too. But I would just say, helping other people really get to the next level.
As one of those kids that sometimes went to school dirty, sometimes went to school hungry, sometimes went to school with holes in the clothes from hand-me-downs and all that type of stuff, or shoes that could talk because the bottom was flapping off, I want to make sure that I give you your flowers and say, truly, thank you for being who you are. And thank you for your contribution to the success of those kids, because some of them will grow up and give back and contribute to society in the way that you have. So thank you for that. To the audience, superpreneurs, that's what you're looking for. Ms. Bridgette Johnson, thank you for your time. I appreciate you, and you have an absolutely blessed day.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
No worries.